Next day, the competition began. 6 track and field events were open to women that year. The Olympic Committee had ruled that a single athlete could compete in no more than 3 events. Babe entered the javelin throw, the 80-meter hurdles, and the running high jump, events in which she had set records for 2 weeks earlier in Evanston. The javelin throw was held late in the afternoon on the first day of competition. Each contestant was allowed 3 tries. Babe waited at the side of the field, swinging her arms and stretching nervously. When her turn came for her first throw, she paused briefly, left hand on her hip. Holding the javelin about ear level over her shoulder, rising slightly on her toes, she started down the runway, drew her arm back, rotated to the right, and with a hop step, let the javelin fly. As she did, her hand slipped off the cord on the handle, and she felt a sharp pain in her right shoulder. Instead of soaring in a high arc as it usually did, the javelin zoomed along close to the ground, like a catcher's peg from home plate to second base, Babe recalled, before finally slicing into the ground. Babe had set an Olympic record and had broken her own recognized world record by more than 4 feet with a throw of 143 feet 4 inches. When the new record was announced over the loudspeaker, the stadium erupted with cheers and applause. Babe trotted about the field, her hands clasped high above her head. Her face was beaming, but her shoulder hurt. Years later, she revealed that she'd been unable to warm up properly because of the crowd on the field. Nobody knew it, but I tore cartilage in my right shoulder when my hand slipped making that throw, she wrote. On my last 2 turns, people thought I wasn't trying because the throws weren't much good. But they didn't have to be. No other competitor came close to Babe's new record. She had won her first Olympic gold medal. 2 days later, the qualifying heats for the 80-meter hurdles were held. Again, Babe was hoping to break both the Olympic record and her own world record. She did both in the qualifying heat, completing the course in 11.8 seconds, a tenth of a second faster than the time she had set in Evanston. The finals of the 80-meter hurdles were held the next day. Babe's chief rival was her teammate Evelyn Hall. As the runners knelt at the starting line, Didrikson and Hall were in lanes side by side. Babe was a bit too anxious. She jumped the gun and everyone was called back. Jumping the gun twice meant automatic disqualification. The runners knelt again, and when the gun cracked, Babe held herself back for a split second until she saw the other runners in front of her. Then she surged forward. Evelyn Hall was ahead, leading by a stride over the first hurdles. Babe closed in on her with powerful leaps and then pulled even. The 2 athletes were neck and neck as they cleared the last 2 hurdles. They appeared to be absolutely even when their feet touched the ground just before the finish line. As they hit the tape together, Babe threw up her arm and yelled to Hall, "Well, I won again." The official timer declared that both women had reached the tape in 11.7 seconds, a new world record. It looked like a dead heat. The judges huddled in confusion and took nearly a half hour to make their decision. Finally, they declared Babe Didrikson the winner. She was awarded her second gold medal. Sports writer Arthur Daly of the New York Times called it an eyelash victory. Other reporters who were on the scene set Babe's margin of victory anywhere between 2 to 6 inches. But it remained a controversial decision and a bitter disappointment for Evelyn Hall. Photographs and film footage of the race, viewed later, did not show the winner beyond any doubt. If it were horse racing, Babe said later, you'd say I won by a nose. She added that her victory was the payoff on all the hedge hopping she had done as a girl in Beaumont. Babe's double Olympic victory, 2 gold medals in 2 events, made headlines all over the country. It now seemed possible that she could win a 3rd track and field gold medal in a single Olympic year, something that no woman had ever done. Excitement mounted as she prepared for her 3rd and final event, the running high jump. Once again, her chief rival was a teammate, Jean Shiley, the captain of the American team and the athlete who had tied Dickerson for first place in the high jump at Evanston. On the day of the event, all other competitors had dropped out by the time the bar had been raised to 5 feet 5 inches, nearly 2 inches higher than the record that Didrikson and Shiley had set jointly in Evanston. Both women cleared that height, setting a new world record. To break the tie, a jump-off had to be held. The judges raised the crossbar an inch to 5 feet 6 inches. Jean Shiley was up first. She failed to clear the bar. Then it was Babe's turn to try for her 3rd gold medal. Sports writer Grantland Rice described what happened. There was a wild shout as Miss Didrikson cleared the bar by at least 4 inches. It was the most astonishing jump any woman ever dreamed about. But luck was against her. As the Babe fluttered to the earth, her left foot struck the standard a glancing blow, just 6 inches from the ground, and the crossbar toppled to the dust with her. The judges ruled that Babe's jump was a miss. They dropped the bar to 5 feet 5 1/4 inches, lower than the first jump off, but high enough to give each woman a chance to break the tie and set a new record. This time, Jean Shiley made it. Then Babe ran toward the crossbar and leaped off the ground, kicking up her feet and rolling in midair as she went over the bar. It was another tie. Or was it? The judges huddled. According to the Olympic rules then in effect, a high jumper had to clear the bar feet first. If the jumper went over the bar head first in a dive, the jump was disqualified. The judges ruled that Babe had dived. The first place gold medal went to Jean Shiley. The silver to Babe Didrikson. This was another controversial ruling. Many of the reporters who were there felt that this decision was unfair, since Babe had been jumping the same way all afternoon, using a style called the Western Roll, an acceptable jumping technique that had never been challenged until the Olympics. In 1932, however, most women used the classic scissors jump, which allowed less chance of fouling. The rule that the feet must cross the bar first held for women, but not for men, and was eliminated the following year. In recognition of the controversial nature of the decision, Babe was later made co-holder with Gene Shiley of the high jump world record set that day. Despite the controversies, Babe emerged as the undisputed star of the women's games. She had broken world records in each event she entered, and walked away with 3 medals, 2 gold and 1 silver. Babe breaks records easier than dishes, announced one headline. Another said, Babe gets praise on coast, is called the greatest woman athlete of the world. Babe was hailed as a conquering hero when she flew back to Dallas in a privately chartered American Airways transport escorted by 15 United States Army planes, all paid for by the employer's casualty. 10,000 people, including the mayor, were waiting at the airport to greet her. As she stepped from the plane, carrying a javelin in her hand, the Dallas Police Department band struck up Hail to the Chief, and the city's fire chief escorted her to his gleaming red limousine, which was draped with hundreds of roses. Members of the Golden Cyclones formed an honor guard on either side of the open car as a festive ticker-tape parade set off through the streets of Dallas, with Babe perched on top of the black seat, waving to thousands of cheering fans who lined the route. Babe's parents, her brother, Ole, and her sister, Lily, had driven up from Beaumont in Ole's battered old jalopy to help celebrate. By the time they arrived, the parade was about to start. When Babe spotted them, she yelled, "Come on up here, come on," motioning for them to join her in the fire chief's car. "We got up there with her," Lily recalled, "and there were roses all over us. We was so dirty and so sweaty when we finally found the landing field. We had 2 flat tires on the way there, and the big shots, they was all looking at us country folk, but we didn't care. Babe didn't care. We had our parade through Dallas, confetti and scrap paper falling on the cars." After the parade, Babe was fitted with a luncheon attended by 500 people at the Adolphus Hotel. During the speeches, when she was called to the microphone and invited to say something, she said simply, "I'm tickled to be back home," and sat down. From Dallas, Babe flew to Beaumont for an equally stupendous welcome. Once again, thousands came to greet her. Bands played, and crowds cheered as she rode through the streets in the Beaumont Fire Chief's red car, which was also draped in roses. This time, members of the Miss Royal Purple High School teams marched as Babe's honor guard. At a reception following the parade, Babe was presented with the key to the city of Beaumont. Her former Miss Royal Purple teammates gave her a silver cup with the inscription, "We knew her when." A procession of dignitaries made speeches praising her, and her old friend, sports writer Tiny Skurlock, told the guest, "She's the same swell kid she used to be." The worst kid on Doucette had become, at age 21, Beaumont's most illustrious citizen.